going to be holding the microphone in this video. I'm not sure why. I just kind of feel better. And hopefully you guys like my shirt. It's a Hood classic. It's a nice shirt. But in this video, I'm going to be talking about the softwares I use for game development, the current ones that I use for game development. And without wasting your time, here's all those softwares that I use for game development. There are other softwares I used, but I'm not going to talk about those right now. I just want to talk about the ones that I use, and then maybe later go into depth about the ones I don't use. I think I will mention them, actually. Yeah, I'm kind of being bipolar right now. I'm sorry. But I think I might mention them to help you on your journey with game development. But yeah, let me share all the tools and softwares that I currently use and talk about them. So the first one I'm going to mention is this one here. This one is Ableton Live 10. It is known as a DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workspace, or you can just say music software. It's the same shit, you know, same spiel. So with Ableton Live 10, I use this one primarily for sound design, in terms of music or just like sound effects, ambience, just anything sound related. This is the go-to software that I use for that. So when it comes to 3D modeling, rigging, animation work, or just making UI elements or whatever, renders in general, I would use Blender. Blender is the go-to software. I used to use programs like Mudbox, Autodesk, like Mudbox, Maya, and 3ds Max, but I don't really use those anymore. And plus, my subscription for it is like heavily outdated because I used to be a student in a school. Back in high school, I had one class for 3D modeling in 3ds Maya. At the end of the day, Blender, I actually like Blender a lot more than Maya. But Maya did have some cool stuff, but I feel like Blender right now is pretty cool. And I decided to pick up with Blender. And I was familiar with Blender because I used it back a long time ago, but I just didn't like the interface. But whenever they changed Blender's interface to be like different than how it was before, I fell in love with the program and I wanted to give it another shot. And I never looked back at these other softwares. So when it comes to like making something I call world materials, which if you ever look at, I don't know, like a ceiling, if you look at a material that's not specific for an object, you know, like if you take a look at like, I don't know, a piggy bank or just like a custom looking piggy bank or like an oriental dish of some kind, or if you take a look at decals or like, I don't know, some sort of machine, these are specific like materials that you would use. Like if you take a look at weapons, like I'm going to give you an example, like Halo. So take a look at Halo 4 assets here. I don't know why I'm using Halo 4, but take a look at the weapons and then the texture work. So these are like specific materials. And then if you look on at any kind of game, like if you play like Gary's mod, you'll see like how the material on the floor like stretches out for miles and it's the same material. That's considered a world material. And you can apply world materials to like buildings. I mean, I don't know what people call it. I just call it personally world materials because it's materials specifically for giant objects. So if you have a giant object and you try to manually paint it into a software, you would have like multiple different separate materials or something. It's just really complicated, sort of. So it's just best to just kind of like use a world material instead. Or you could use a custom world material specifically for certain building designs. Kind of like if you take a look at Halo, Halo is like, especially Halo 3, take a look at the Forerunner structures. That would be a world material specific for, you know, Forerunner structures. But they all have that same aesthetic. They all have that same, like, those lines everywhere and stuff, which is really fucking cool as fuck. The aesthetics are just, I got to visit a Forerunner structure. I want to go to one. But those are world materials. So when it comes to making world materials, I use something called Substance Designer. And Substance Designer is like super cool once you learn it. It seems really intimidating at first, but once you kind of like watch a few tutorials and then look at a bit of documentation, you'll get familiar with it, and then you'll kind of like nerd out on it and just go full like every time I open that program, I'm like locked in. Like when I think about a material of some kind, like I'm already there, bro. Like I'm already there. But that's what I use to make my world materials, like my game shrimp. If you take a look at the environment, like the flesh everywhere, or if you take a look at the city, those brick material, those are world materials that I have used, and I made them in Substance Designer. Sorry. So I am going to move on to the next one, which is called Substance Designer. Now, Substance Designer it's kind of weird for people, like, so what's the difference between Substance Painter and Substance Designer? They both have the word substance in it. Well,
gonna go.
so with Substance Painter, you paint with the substance, and then Substance Designer, you're designing a substance. And the game engine that I use is Unreal Engine 4. I know there's Unreal Engine 5, but my computer's out of date, so I cannot use Unreal Engine 5 right now. And then an editing software that I use is DaVinci Resolve. So if I'm trying to make like a devlog or just something about my game, I would use DaVinci for that. And there you have it. That's all the programs that I use currently for game development. And even for the current game that I'm making, I am utilizing all of these softwares. And these softwares are great. But yeah, those are the programs that I use, and I'm hoping like this could help you in some way. And yeah, that's it. So see ya.